Hello guys, how are you? In today's video we are gonna talk about how we can implement the live execution of certain strategies that we can have defined previously, okay? All this is coming because of the last post I published. I felt that it was lacking of a video where I could share or we could explain better how or what's the sense of it, okay? Sometimes it was the zipline and Pyfolio where we were going through the Harry Brownie backtesting, but I think that if we are not explaining the code properly and just leave people reading the code itself, it could be a bit tough. So after that, certain people asked me if it was possible to do any kind of video where I explain how to do live execution, so data retrieval, processing, cleaning the data, and basically triggering orders. And I thought it was possible, but it would be better if it comes with a small video where I can actually explain what I've been doing rather than just leave the code in there. So what I've done basically, is define a strategy, not profitable, not nothing, just basic MACD strategy where we will have the logics to trigger conditions, okay? As you know, today is Sunday, yesterday was Saturday where we were talking about that. So I think the best market to do a live example today, no API requirements in terms of paid API or stuff like that, it's cryptocurrency. Okay, since we receive the data, we can process the data, and then we can easily use it. Okay, so what we've done, real-time execution with Python, quite basic. Okay, we haven't backtested the strategy before implemented, and we are not receiving any kind of data after the strategy to analyze. So it's not a full system, it's just the process itself. Okay, so the aim of that, it's about how to retrieve the data, clean the data, make that data readable in the format that we are gonna be able to use it, and then define the logics, the basic logics. Okay, I'm not gonna be typing. I'm just gonna go through the code, and I'm just gonna go through the code, and I will show you step by step what I've been doing. Okay, like that thing is better than just leave the post with plain text and source code. Okay, so let's start. What are we gonna do? I'm gonna go here. You got the source code complete that you will be able to find it on GitHub. You will be able to find it on the website, but I got to slice it here where I'm gonna go step by step. Okay, just checking. Oh, just a second. That is going too big. So we're gonna do. First of all, we're gonna retrieve data from cryptocurrency exchange. Different way could be stocks, could be forex, could be whatever. At the end of the day, the process is quite similar. Maybe the connections it change from every data provider, but at the end of the day, what we need to do is retrieve, filter, keep what we need in the way we can use it. Okay. To do so, we're gonna import CCXT, which is probably the most common cryptocurrency library. This will work as a bridge between our broker and our code. So it will simplify certain steps, okay, such data retrieval, order executions. After that, we will import Pandas, basic Python library for data processing in markets, basically. We will need to use date. We will go through the indicators. On this one, we are going to use MACD. I'll import as well RSI, but I'll show you how to either import them from a library or just manual calculate one, okay, by hand, let's say. And then we will schedule a function to retrieve the data and analyze the market, since we are going to do it locally. Okay, it's like a kind of easy script. So we run that cell and we import all the libraries we are going to need for this project. We got that. After that second part, what is it? We need to establish the connection to our own broker or the place that we want to retrieve the data from. What are we going to use for this code? We are going to use Binance. Okay, as said, CCXT got probably all of the cryptocurrency brokers that you can ask for. They got them here, so they got Coinbase Pro, Binance. If you're in the US, you will need to use Binance US, etc., etc. Okay, so probably most of them will be there. We will establish the connection, and then we got two options now. We can go through just plain connection. Okay, this connection we won't be able to trigger any option, any order, or we could connect our own credentials. Okay, so this one you will fulfill with your credentials, and then you will use this same code to execute the orders. Okay, since we are just doing the demo, it's not necessary, but if you want to live implement that, you'll need to do this. Okay, one thing important here is that depending on the broker you're using, this inner part of that source code here can change. Okay, they can ask for different settings. Okay, so it's worth to read the documentation in order to know what exactly they are asking for in order to get the successful connection. We run that, and then we are connected to this broker, to this data provider at the moment. Then, once we got that, we need to know which kind of strategy we are gonna define, or in that case, it's gonna be like a plain technical strategy. Since it's like a plain technical strategy, we will need the normal open, high, low, close volume information for the asset we want. Okay, so for this example, we're going to use this function, execute connection, with the symbol, which in this case is going to be Ethereum USD Tether, but it could be Bitcoin, whatever. And as a time frame, we are going to use 1 minute. Why 1 minute? Basically, because the idea of this script is training purposes, it's educational purposes. We want this triggering a lot in order to see how it's reacting. Okay, it's not the most profitable, probably it won't even be profitable, so don't use it to trade, just to learn. Okay, and then you can modify this script with your own strategy settings. So as said here on the description, is a function for data retrieval, processing, and cleaning. Okay, how are we gonna connect to that data? In this case, we got the raw data, and this raw data, we receive it like such: exchange.fetch OHLCV for that symbol, for that time frame, and then we will limit to 100 bars. Why are we limiting the data to 100 bars? Because for that strategy, MACD based, MACD works with 26 period moving, exponential moving average as the longest one, so we don't need like 500 bars. If your strategy requires more, you obviously could go for more. Okay, or you could even put this in here and then set the options once you call the function. Okay, let's see why the process is like this by seeing how is the raw data. Okay, and then I will explain what I'm doing here. Basically, if we execute the connection, if we call that function, we will say we want Ethereum USD Tether, and then 15 minutes bars, we will receive this. So that's how Binance, through CCXT, it's delivering the data. Okay, this is received like a Python list where we are seeing on the brackets each candle. Okay, this is useful, but is not convenient to us. since we want to see the data in a better format. We got the Unix format for the date, and it's quite not convenient, okay? So we need to work this data a little bit in order to have a better data frame what we can use easier, okay? And we can grab this data to use it somewhere else, since, for instance, the technical analysis library, etc., okay? There are other functions we work with Pandas series, etc. So, since we've done that already, the raw data looks like this, okay? Second step, we need to define the data frame. So what we've done in here, so we say data frame, it's equal to Pandas data frame, where we are going to pass the raw data. And then why do we do this? -1, because each time we call Binance to retrieve the data, they are sending the data in the moment we get that connection done. So the last bar that we are going to receive is not the closed bar, it's the current bar at this particular moment. Since we don't want this bar for this particular strategy, we might want it or not. For this one, I don't want it, and then I don't want it because I want you to see these kind of things. We are going to receive until the last closed bar, which means 99 bars, okay? Rather than 100 that we got in here, we are going to receive 99, okay? Then we are going to name the columns. This it doesn't have to, it's like a basic Pandas, date, open, high, low, close, volume. And then we are going to convert the date into a readable format, okay? Once we got that, our data will move from this kind of thing this kind of mess that we got in there to this. So we got the mess, and then the mess gets converted into that. Okay, since we order 15-minute bars, we are receiving 15-minute bars, 15-minute bars, 15-minute bars, 15-minute bars, etc., etc., from 0 till 98. Okay, since we start on 0, would be 99. Okay. And then the index starts on 0, so it's 99 bars. Okay, we are missing the last one, which is the one that is currently working. Okay, we don't want this one for this particular example. If we just want it, only thing to do, get rid of that, and then we will have 99 bars. Okay, including, as said, the current one. So, okay, we got the data frame. We got something nice to work already with. Now, let's introduce the requirements we need for our technical strategy. What are we going to use? For this particular case, we are going to use a complex one. We are going to use the MACD strategy, okay? So what do we need to do in here? We will need to fulfill this data frame with the information we need. How are we going to do that? Once again, we are going to define a function, okay? We are going to define a function what accepts a data frame, okay? This data frame would be the one that is coming from the connection, the clean connection we've done with Binance already, with the data provider, okay? As we said here, this function will implement the technical indicators to the market data frame. Second part will define the logics. That's the second step, okay? First of all, we need to know which data do we have to work with, and second, what are we going to do with this data? So, how are we going to get the MACD? There's two ways to approach this. You can manually calculate that, or you can get it imported from a library, okay? Let's say that we want it calculated manually. So this would be a basic example of MACD. So we will have two moving averages, exponential moving averages, where One of these would be 12 periods of the close, would be the short moving average. We will have a long moving average, 26 periods. And then we have the MACD line. MACD line is the short minus the long moving average. Once we got the MACD, then we can get the signal calculated by passing the MACD value to another moving average of 9 periods. And then we will have signal, sorry for that, we'll have signal and we'll have MACD, okay? But what about when we got more complex calculations like RSI or other, probably other complex indicators that probably need to be either imported from another libraries. So, since I want you to know how to do this, I've done kind of that process with a technical indicator, okay? But it would be any other kind of indicator. In this sense, what we're gonna do here is get the indicators using the library. How are we gonna do that? So, if you read the TA documentation, they'll show you how to go through that. So if you through MACD, basically MACD object will need a series of the close, what we are gonna pass it by passing our data frame, the close column, okay? And then we can have MACD, signal, and histogram as easy as this, okay? We get the MACD, we get the signal, and we get the difference, which is the histogram, okay? Once we got this data, next step is to define when I'm gonna have a green light to trade or red light to trade, okay? When my condition will meet, once the conditions are met or once they are not, basically. So this is gonna happen by defining this column, which in that case it will be MACD signal in terms of MACD, it's doing uptrend or it's doing downtrend, okay? We will define that false at the beginning and we'll leave it like that for the moment. Then we could do the same with the RSI, we could do the same with Bollinger Bands, stochastics, we can import another kind of libraries with another kind of indicators, I don't know, whatever you want. So all these kind of things will go here because they will fulfill our old data frame with new ones, okay? Now, since we are gonna use just MACD, we are ready to go into the next step. Next step, it's define the logics when my algorithm is saying that I'm on green light to trade or I'm on red light to trade. So basically when this signal is going to be false or when this signal is going to be true, okay? To do that, basically, we need to know at what point we are now and how was the scenario one candlestick before. In order to do that, we can do it like this, okay? So for current in range 1 length data frame index, previous would be current minus 1. So this basically will access the previous row every time throughout the data frame, okay? And then once we know how to compare the previous with the current one, we can implement the logics. The logics would be for everyone to define what they want, but basic MACD would say if current MACD is greater than the signal, now if the current signal, and previous MACD was smaller than the previous signal, means that now is higher, so mean crossover, and current MACD is below 0, we can add whatever we want, then our MACD signal current is gonna be true, so my light is gonna be on green. If before was red and now is green, then I'm happy to trade, okay? So this condition this condition would make this variable change. Okay, I'll if the other way around, if my MACD current is smaller than the signal and before was greater than the signal, means that it's going down. Here we haven't added anything, so whenever it happens, it will trigger the option. It will trigger it will change the light of my MACD signal to false, okay, to red. Else, MACD signal is gonna be the same as before. So if none of those conditions happens, this doesn't change, stays like it was before. Okay, and this is gonna return a complete that data frame. Let's see if we can see it in here. We cannot see it here yet because we cannot see it here yet because this is not finished. Okay, but once we run the code on the step by step, once we run the code, we can see it in here. I'll show you how it looks like. So basically what we are doing now is to receive this sort of data frame. Let's see, it takes 1 second. It actually takes 10 seconds. Okay, so basically now we got a huge data frame where we have the same kind of content than before, date, open, high, low, close, volume, and then we got all the data frames with all the values that we've added to it. So we got the signal, we got the MACD histogram, we got MACD signal, the RSI signal because I've put it but I haven't used it, the RSI, etc, 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 etc. Okay, so we got a complete environment now to make decisions. What are we gonna do then? So now we need to define the logics about when are we gonna trigger the signals. We are the orders. So we got the signal defined by the MACD, and then we need to trigger the orders if another conditions are required. What are gonna be those conditions? So now we are gonna go through this. So those conditions are, first of all, we need to know if we are already in the market. If we are, or if we are not. We assume that once we run the algorithm from the beginning, we are not in the market. So we got our cash in our hands. Okay, so we are not in the market, so our variable in position is gonna be false. Okay. Then we're gonna define the function what is actually looking for these conditions to happen, basically. And then this function is going to receive a complete data frame. So this complete data frame is the one that is going to come from here with all the information we need. Therefore, we will modify global imposition. That's the way to implement for a function to modify an external variable. And then we will look for the signals. Okay? Same way, we will need to know, same way we've done before, in order to know if the MACD has changed from before or now, we need to know if from the last row or from the previous point and compared to the current one, the conditions has changed. The condition has changed. So we're gonna do it kind of the same. So we'll define the last row and previous row, and then we will say if previous row signal is false, okay, if not df MACD signal previous row, so if this condition is false, so if I'm on red light and MACD signal now is on green light on the last one, then the uptrend is activated, okay, according to the MACD. So MACD, we got a crossover below 0 according to our logics from before, okay, according to these logics. We got that. And then what else do we need to know? We need to know if we are already in the market. So if we are already in the market, we are not gonna do anything because we are already in the market. And then if in position is false, if I'm not in position, then is when I'm gonna trigger the order. Okay, so we'll see order buy, and here goes the order. Okay, this order buy, it will depend on our broker and how are we dealing with. So for instance, if we are now we are using CCXT, so since we are using CCXT, the way to implement the order will be this one. If we got our credentials, okay, if not, if this happens, they're gonna tell me you are not registered or connection fail or something like this. Okay, they are gonna return an error basically. And then, well, we can define which is the symbol and the units of the asset. These kind of things, we can code it later on. We can do this more complex, let's say, or more autonomous. Okay, at the moment it's just we are trading this and this. Okay, we could say that we are gonna go for 10% of our available account, whatever. Okay, then same thing, but of the other way around. If the previous row was true, the signal on the previous row was true, and now on the last one is false, means that I got the red light, means I got downtrend. So if I'm in position, I'm gonna sell. If I'm not in position, in this case, I'm not gonna short. Okay, I'm doing nothing, just skipping the signal. That's the logic process. First of all, we know when we are gonna go uptrend, downtrend, when it's green for us, when it's red for us, and then we are gonna see what happens. Okay, so when this change, we will do the logics for the orders. Finally, what we got in here, okay, would be the complete function. Okay, the first one for data retrieval was for showing you how to do it, but on the proper code, which is tick data web example, it goes at the end. Why is that? Because this function, which is the first one, will have at the end the complete data frame, which is our technical signal function fulfilled with the basic data frame we receive from the data provider, and then reading market function is gonna read the full data frame with everything. So it's gonna read what is changing basically. Okay, once we got that, the only thing to the left is say when this is gonna be triggered. Okay, these kind of processes can be really complex. In another scenarios, we are gonna do it local, so we are gonna keep it simple for now. Okay, so we are gonna schedule every 10 seconds, run, basically execute connection, which is that function. So every 10 seconds, since we are doing minute candlesticks, it's gonna run that. Okay, and then while true, which is always, okay, this is gonna be running. So for you to see the live implementation of that, basically what it's doing is this. Okay, I'm not gonna wait too long for it to trigger any signal, because it can happen or it cannot. But basically what happens is that, let's see, so now it's getting connected. Actually we had a signal here. Damn. So basically what happened here, we are gonna look for this moment when was true and then is false. So we change from green light to red light. If we were in the market, we sell. If we weren't, we skip. Okay, as we are not in the market and this is an old signal, we are doing nothing. So we need to wait for this to happen once we are connected, okay? Hope that makes sense for you. You got the post. In case you got any doubt, let me know. Again, this is for learning purpose. Don't use that to trade, okay? You can use that to implement your strategies. You can use this to complement your strategies. But before implement that into real market, please make sure that you backtest that before. Make sure it's working, make your strategy is profitable. All these kind of things we all know, but probably it can get to someone who is not that quite experienced or I don't know. I mean, the idea of that is more about how to implement the logics and how to receive the actual, clean the actual data more than to show the strategy itself. As we said with the Harry Brownie, I will say, example, the idea of that wasn't the portfolio itself, the strategy itself. The idea was to see the tool that we can go through and all the advantages that it provides, okay? It's more about the tool than the strategy itself, the same than this one, okay? Even though this one, the volatility wasn't that bad after that compared to the performance, okay? But that's, well, mainly what I want to show you. Hope that makes sense. Hope it's clear. Whatever that you got, just feel free to ask. And that's it from my side. Thanks for watching. And it's been a while since I didn't publish anything in English, so I'm warming up once again. Thank you guys, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye.